Don't you think it's silly to keep saying your kids are ahead or behind something?
Welcome to the Homeschool Paradigm Podcast. Today, all three of us are here, and Sarah and I are actually in the same place. Yeah.
Yay! That's fun.
And today we're talking about when your kids are ahead or behind in, grades or subjects or whatever it might be.
Yep. So I think we have some opinions about ahead and behind. So this is going to be fun. Sarah, I think before we started, you were mentioning we wanted to talk about comparing, like we want to teach our kids not to compare. So when we say ahead and
Oh,
behind,
yeah.
we are comparing. There's no way around the fact that we're comparing them to someone. What were you saying
Yeah,
about that?
I was just saying that it's funny because, when we go out or like at church or something, I always hear parents say, we want to teach our kids not to compare themselves to other people no matter what. They're perfect the way they are. And
Mhm.
it just feels like such a contradiction when someone comes to us and they say, oh, my kid is behind, because that means that they are comparing their child to all of these other children. And it's not that they don't love their children for it, but they're
Right.
so worried about it because they are comparing. So I think that the first thing is to accept that you have a problem with comparing your kids to other kids.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think too that I think parents don't realize that they're doing that. I think when they say behind,
Right.
because it's not the same kind of comparing, like, when you teach your teenage daughters not to compare themselves to other girls or whatever, it is slightly different. But I think that they don't want to compare their kids to an individual kid or something, but the system they're
Yeah.
comparing themselves to, that it's just a made up system. And honestly, the standards have totally changed. You know, like when my
Yeah.
parents were kids, they didn't I mean, I think kindergartners, they want you to know how to read before you even go to school now. I don't even know. But then, it wasn't like that at all. I mean, do we look at people in my
Right.
parents' generation and say, oh my goodness, they didn't learn to read until they were 7. How stupid is it? I can't believe they were so far behind.
Yeah. And then now, like something that's not required now is I don't think people learn cursive anymore.
Right.
And our grandparents or something, they would, if you
Well,
talk to
everybody
them
has
back
different
then, they'd be
opinions
like,
about that
well, they
too.
need to learn that,
Right.
they need to be able to use that
Mhm.
skill. So yeah, I think like you're saying, it's definitely in comparison to kind of the current thing that's been set up, which is the same thing like you don't want your teenage daughter to do. You don't want her to compare herself to, people on social media
Current
and
trends, yeah.
trends and stuff like that. And the things taught in school and curriculums, those really are in a lot of ways trends,
It
or you
really
could treat
is.
them. them. You could
Hmm.
treat them as trends.
It really
Even though
is.
like obviously it's important to have knowledge, but
Knowledge is completely different
that's different than the
than
curriculum level.
your curriculum level or what they expect from kids or whatever. That is a complete, we would
Yeah.
never say that it
Don't
doesn't matter.
expect learning.
The knowledge. Yeah. We love learning. So, yeah. So let's see. What was the other thing? Oh, that curriculum is made up by somebody. So that it's the same idea. It's just not in the school. Like, so homeschool curriculum is
Yeah.
also just made up by somebody. I intend to write one someday. If I do that, it will be made up by somebody.
And
So
somebody's going to go around comparing to their kid. Well, they won't probably with how your curriculum is because you don't really like grades and things like that. But I'm saying
right.
if you were
Yeah.
somebody to put
Yeah.
grades in
Hmm.
the homeschool curriculum, they might then go around
Yeah.
comparing their kids to the grades in your curriculum that Right. you wrote, and you are just a homeschool mom.
I am
So
just a person. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so some of this comparing, we're going to use some examples. So I'll go first. My example was if you wanted to weigh 20 pounds less, and your best friend wanted to also weigh 20 pounds less than they do, and you started to eat healthier together, and your friend lost weight a little faster than you did, and your husband said, "Hey, she's way ahead of you. You need to catch up. You're falling behind. You need to catch up. You're not gonna be at the right weight at some arbitrary time or whatever."
yeah. Yeah.
Like, that sounds ridiculous, right? I mean, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah,
Also,
and awful.
it'd be
It's
hard to
really
trust
rude
your
and
husband
awful.
with I can't trust my husband with my feelings if he's saying that stuff to me. So
Right.
your kids might feel like, and I know a lot of parents don't realize that their kids are hearing them say they're behind. I mean, or your parents are saying it right to them, hey, you're behind, we need to hurry, which,
Mhm.
is not going to help. But I think that I would have a hard time trusting my husband with my feelings. And that's important. I think our kids trusting us with our feelings is really important. You've got to let stress you're causing, if
As
not.
well as feeling motivated. If my husband said that to me, I think I'd feel pretty unmotivated
Go eat some
in the hard
brownies.
work that I was doing. Like if I was
Yeah,
really working hard at it, I'd be like, well, this hard work really isn't doing me much good. And as an adult, I might be able to think my way through that, maybe.
right. Maybe.
But especially as a child with an undeveloped brain, that's not something I would think I could think through at
Oh
all.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Well, so you were talking about your thyroid as another example.
Yeah, so I was just talking about how people have thyroid issues. So Rachel and I both have thyroid issues, and I
Mhm.
was saying that everybody takes a different amount of medicine. I would say that a lot of people are on like a lot of different types of doses of medicine,
Yeah.
and sometimes even a different type of thyroid medicine because one
Right.
of them doesn't work for them. And so I was just thinking about how, when a doctor prescribes you a thyroid medication, he doesn't say, wow, you're a lot behind. Like if I had to take 100 milligrams instead of 75, he wouldn't be like, oh, you really need to step it up and catch up to where
Right.
these other people are, right? Because he knows
Yeah.
that that's impossible because your body's different.
Yeah.
And so that was just making me think of how, in school, like literally everyone is different. And by this point in the podcast, like some of you might be getting like ticked off and saying like, well,
Right.
my kid is really behind, right?
Yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
you're like kind of panicking about it right now.
Hmm.
But I think when you remind yourself that everyone is different, and I do this all the time when I'm even just like when I'm having anxiety to like speak in front of people and I'm comparing myself to other people and
Yeah.
I am doing like an event or something like that or some kind of talk. I'm like, oh, but I've seen all of these other people and I need to be
Yeah.
like them and I compare
Hmm.
myself to them. The thing that helps me when I realize I'm comparing myself to other people in those situations is just to remember that literally every human is different. So it's not
Hmm.
possible that I'm behind, really,
Yeah.
that everyone is just doing their best and that everybody's different and
Yeah.
I
sounds different.
yeah. I was thinking while you were saying like everyone is different, every person is different, and then you're
Yeah.
saying the thyroid medication example. I remember so she got diagnosed with the thyroid thing like a year before I did, but we had the same doctor at the time.
Yeah.
And so when I got diagnosed, the doctor put me on the exact same medication because they were
Yeah.
like, well, it worked for your sister, so it'll probably
Hmm.
work from you, which is, fine logic.
Yeah.
But we are completely different people. And so I had to go, that didn't work for me. And so I actually didn't get on the right medication for me for, I guess, maybe 5 years. Because I started with this medication that like they kind of expected to work
And they try and change
because it
doses
was
or
the
whatever.
one that worked for my sister.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
they thought, oh, it's going to work for you. But I had to go to a completely different thing, completely different medication dose, whatever it was. And yeah, just because we're different people and that's going to be the same for anything is
Yeah.
Yeah.
different, completely different people.
Yeah. And when Sarah was saying that about the thyroid, I was thinking too, like, I mean, I don't know brain research, like some people do, but the thyroid is a body part and it can do what it can do in each individual's body. And the brain is part of your body too. Like there's a physical aspect to your brain too. It's not just
Yeah.
everybody should, everybody's brain physically acts the same, everybody's brain mentally acts the same. Like
Yeah.
part of your different whole entire body than someone else's whole entire body.
I really liked that example because I did just have one more thought and
Mhm.
I was just going to say that when you think about it like that, like when I said, oh, the doctor is able to get you what you need because he checks on you and he talks to you and he listens to you.
Mhm.
And I just think it would be cool if maybe more homeschool moms started thinking about themselves kind of like the doctor in their homeschool, like the
Yeah.
hero in their homeschool where they get to talk to their child and listen to their child and nurture them instead of comparing them
and saying that they have to be at a certain level. Instead of the plain old person who wrote the curriculum who's never met their child dictating if they're ahead or behind or what they're doing or
Yeah.
their whole day. Like,
And I think those can be great tools, kind of
mhm,
like our doctor, even thinking like the same medication might work, let's give it a shot. Well, that's great to give it a shot, but then once I needed adjustments, it was important for them to know that they could listen to me and make those adjustments and not worry about where my sister was with her
mhm,
medication.
right.
They were just worried about like you said, listening to me and solving the problem and working with me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And not being like, you're a woman in your 20s, you need to be
Right.
taking 75 micrograms or whatever it is.
Right. Yeah.
Just like the curriculum is like, you're a 7-year-old, you need to be reading these books. It just doesn't make any sense.
You also might be thinking, oh, I'm worried about like how can I stop comparing now?
Yeah,
When you
Mhm.
right.
realize you're doing it. And I think that's honestly how you start is just, yeah, reminding yourself, oh, my child is going to be different than literally everyone else because everyone's child is different. Everyone else's child is different than my child. And just treating yourself like the doctor, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Hmm.
I'm going to listen to you and give you what you need. So,
Yeah, I think listening to their complaints and maybe because a person is 7 years old, that's going to actually come out as complaining. But I think it's also useful if your 7 year old is telling you something, even if it's a complaint or in a whiny voice, deal with that, parent them
Right.
definitely when it comes to those things, but also take into account what they're saying to you and the information they're giving to you with those actual complaints, because
right.
I think that will give you, insight.
Yeah, like we've started saying that, when they push back, that gives us information. Then we can go, oh, yeah, that's actually a need. You're
Yeah.
expressing some kind of need. And I loved
Yeah.
I do want to say your example, Rachel, about going to India.
Yeah,
And
we took a trip to India recently, and it just on, you take some long flights, and on the flight I kind of like there's a map that you have in front of you and you can like zoom out and see where your plane is, like over the ocean or over Europe or wherever it is. And it was interesting to me. I was just thinking about all these different things and how like we were, off the ground in the air and we were flying a certain direction and we were gonna make a stop in Abu Dhabi and stuff like that. And then the world below us was like spinning, and then there were other planes on other courses, and you talk to different people and you're like, oh, I'm gonna stop in Abu Dhabi. And they're like, oh, that's cool. I'm gonna stop in Amsterdam. And then we're all, our destination may be the same country, because in the end, we're all just gonna finish our trip and be
mhm.
home. But yeah, I did think that was interesting, and that
Well, and they may, and you
I
take a
think,
different route because you're
yeah,
different
I think
people.
it's the same way for kids, like we were talking about. Like some, if they read at 3 years old, maybe that's stopping in Abu Dhabi. They just hit
Hmm.
that point first. But then some who read at 8 years old or 10 years old,
Hmm.
that's going to look like a different trip,
Hmm. Maybe
but
they're taking a
doesn't
boat.
mean, yeah, it doesn't mean that you don't
Yeah.
reach the same destination, the same country, the same your home, whatever
Right.
it is.
Yeah, so I think, however long it's taking your kid to learn something or to do something or to achieve something, it is really important not to compare them in your head because all that's going to do is to make you lose confidence in your child and your confidence in your child to lose confidence in you and to be able to say things and express things. And I think just think of yourself as the person in the scenario who really knows what your child needs instead of, some other arbitrary person or some other teacher. Since you've decided to do this, you need to also believe that you can do it, your child can do it, you've got
Hmm.
confidence wherever you're at. And
Yeah.
so I think that that's like the first step in achieving like peace in your homeschool.
Go try it.
Hmm. Yeah.
Be the doctor of your homeschool.
Okay. Thanks for listening.